the meeting to order. Start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge
to the
allegiance.
flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we'll open up the meeting for the road committee, and we'll start with an application for Article 43 money from Lakeside Road. You all have a copy of it. I read it over. It looks to be all in order. The information is all there about their committee and their paperwork from the state, and it has the information from the DEP, and they are looking for what was it, 3,000, what was the price on it?
Like 3,200, Jay.
3,200 for,
3,250.
yeah, for work on culverts. And we do have somebody from Lakeside Road here, if there's any questions. Sorry you drove out here for nothing.
Yeah, I didn't,
Let's ask him something.
okay, well,
When are you gonna do it?
As soon as it's dry, usually to a beginning of June.
All right, any other questions?
Just continue to work, you guys are just doing all the
Oh,
road.
yeah, always ditching, a
All
lot
right,
of ditching.
yeah.
It's helped big time.
Oh, for sure.
I'll entertain a motion.
I can make a motion to approve the Article 43 application.
Second?
Second.
Second, Will. All those in, any questions about the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. We'll make that recommendation to the selectmen tomorrow, at tomorrow's meeting. And we'll go to Article 43, account balance. So as of the end of last year, the entire $50,000, the original amount, was expended, and at a special meeting, another $9,000 was put into the account, subject to utilization. And on June 30th, if there's still money left, that money will revert back into the general fund. And any questions about the expenditures? I do have every road that has, or every road association that has received it. They are notated on the article that I gave you here with the date of when it was accepted. I didn't put down how much. Most of them were 3,000, but there were some that were under the 3,000 because it was limited work. But it all added up to the 50,000.
Jay, are you guys gonna discuss in your agenda tonight the ones that we're talking about also put forward?
I was going to,
Okay.
I
I
had
didn't know
seen.
if this was part of it.
Yep, so, I was gonna leave that to the end on the warrant article. No questions on that? We'll move to the next item, which is the utilization of applications. As you can see, I have taken every private road in the town and assigned it to a Lake Association. So it's the piece here that has the red on it. You can see Balch Lake, for instance, is all up at the top there. Those are the roads that are private, and this is only in Acton, not in Wakefield where Balch is, or in the case of Square Pond in Shapley. This is only Acton, and it has the number of lots and the road length. In the red, you'll see that those are the totals just for that lake association. So in the case of Balch, there are 99 lots on those private roads and 1,667 feet. I did also include the one sheet, the active lake associations. It's just a recap of this right here. And I'll bring you notice to the places, the road associations that have received Article 43 funding are typically the bigger roads with more lots. They're, the smaller roads probably cannot handle the, we don't have a qualified association. They probably can't get it together. But you'll notice that the bigger roads have them and have been awarded some money for repairs. Most of the lakes, Great East, Wilson, Loon, Mousom, have all received money at one point. And the three that haven't are Balch, and they don't qualify because they don't have the watershed survey. I had heard recently that they might be getting it. I don't know. Horn and Square Pond. Square Pond is mostly public roads. They have relatively few private roads, so I think everything is handled there, and that's probably why we don't see anything from Square Pond. I don't know much about Horn, but if they have any road committees or not.
I don't believe Square Pond has any road associations that I know of.
Yeah, nor do I. So you'll see that Article 43 has been very effective in, for the most part, on the lake. We've had comments that we want to try to expand it, but I just wanted to make sure everybody understands Article 43 is effective and it has been working fairly well in the past. Because a lot of good work is being done to help mitigate any pollution going into the lake. Any questions on that? All right. So we can move on to the discussion about the alternative proposals for town aid to private roads. We've had, been talking about this for the last couple of months, and I've had conversations with lake associations. I think there's some confusion on how it would actually work, and Selectman is here to help explain that to us. I know we've come up with some questions of our own. I don't know how you want to start this off, Dave. There have been, well, Great East Lake is one that I've talked to, and they had a board meeting. They're willing to try and make this work with us.
Yeah, so I guess, let's do a recap of where we were, because I mean, it's been a little while since we met, right?
Yes.
So the concerns I had and the other board members had when we were were looking at the Article 43, when we started running out of monies, is a lot of the money is only going to certain roads, okay? And if you look at the chart that, it's pretty glaring here, Jack. It really makes you realize how many private roads there really are, you know?
Mhm.
But, you know, you look at it and you'll see blotches like Lakeside, they get theirs, Langley's got a bunch, Abbott Road's got, it looks like one round worth. But it's only a handful of roads in here, and you're right, with the money that's being used is obviously, hopefully contributing, helping the lake. But what the concern was it's all the roads that, you know, who don't have these large road associations who can't get this money. So, you know, the idea was, instead of doing the Article 43 like we do, what we do is we give the money to the Lake Association like we are now. You know, I forget, we're in budget time, I should know this number off the top of my head, but but we give it to Great East, Balch, okay, like we are now.
$2,000.
A couple $1,000 here and there, whatever, okay? And the way we felt was, if we could get the Lake Association involved, where we're giving them money such as, like social services like we are now, and they can distribute that money to all of the roads that need work to, you know, meaning anything that needs work, DEP, whatever, but we're out of the picture at that point. It would be the road association's responsibility to delegate, not the Lake Association's responsibility to delegate these monies to, even to the small roads that wash out just like the big ones do, but they can't get the funds. And I think this is a good way to distribute a little bit, and even if we have to pay a little bit more money, because it's getting spread out in more areas. So, I asked the road committee back in, I don't know, how many months was the last meeting we had?
It was
November,
September,
I think.
maybe?
November, I think.
Was it?
October, November.
Still a
November.
while ago, so
November.
September.
5-6 months ago, whatever. And to have, you know, Jay, you guys said you guys were gonna look at talking to some lake associations, see what the feedback was. We did talk. You said there was some concerns about the confusion and how it was all gonna run. Honestly, at the end of the day, all I think the select board, and what I've spoken with them is, what we're looking to see is make sure the money got spent on a public property, on a lake somewhere in Acton. Okay, you know, we don't wanna be giving bunches of money out, so a road over in Hampshire got fixed, we wanna leave it in Acton, obviously. I'm sure they're gonna worry about the lake too, but, you know, it's just the way it works. And maybe, you know, once a year when they put in, like a social services does, they put in, we need these funds for this. They have a list of things, we go poof, and you get your money, just like they do now, except it would just be more than what they're getting now. That opens up the horizon for a lot more projects on the lakes than what's being done right now. I believe, because you're not tied down by certain things in the Article 43. And I think, and it's legit. So, that's what I'm proposing. And you know, I haven't talked to the board in a while about it, because we haven't talked about it in a while. But as of right now, you know, we're looking at, we just approved $9,000 in funds. And because we were hoping you guys were working on this, and we know you are, and everybody's behind the 8 ball here, so we were looking at it and about appropriating possibly another 9,000. That would give you 18,000 between here and July, and then July to, you know, 6 months, whatever it lasts. Which I thought was reasonable at this point in time, seeing that, you know, when we talked last, we were talking like we weren't putting any more money in until we figured this out. I just like to make sure that we don't hold back money and cause issues with dirt roads because we're in the middle of a transition here.
Mhm.
So I believe that works, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's very concise, thank you very much.
I was trying to be proactive here.
I think we still have some specific questions. One that has come up among this group has been when Article 43 was first set up, there were issues from the state that
Yep.
had to be satisfied.
Yep.
There were issues that, from the Department of Environmental Services that had to be. Is that going to be the case with the money that gets
I
put
don't
out?
believe so, because, I mean, when we give out our social services now to the lakes for doing what, we don't ask them what they're doing now. We don't have a list of what they're doing, or how many boats they're checking, or whether the state's saying they have to do whatever. I think it would be probably beneficial that, you know, these projects would have, you know, DEP, you know, look at, saying, you know, this is something that should be done, kinda like we're doing now. I think it would be beneficial, I don't think we'd have to. But coming from the town of Acton and dispersing it directly to a road for a certain purpose, now you have, you know, I believe you have to do what Article 43 does.
Mhm.
You know, because it's coming directly from us. What we're doing here is no different than what we do with the social services. And it's what it is. It's a charity, you know, we're giving it out and letting them spend it to do good, right?
Right, but we're asking them to put this money into the roads to protect the lakes, right? So,
Not necessarily just roads, okay? I believe it could be more than roads,
okay,
okay? You know, driveways, stuff like that, all that stuff's washing in the lake,
mhm,
you know? And so when you define it as just roads, then you might have a problem. But when you're dispersing it, doing all kinds of multiple, just like AWA does. AWA does the same thing. They're not doing road work, they're doing stuff in people's yards and this and that. But if we know that these projects, which it could include roads, are benefiting the lake, I don't care. You know, it's good. But the money's getting dispersed equally and getting out into more places than it is now.
that's very interesting. So has legal checked this out yet?
Until we come up with some sort of plan, I don't wanna have legal, you know how that works, you go in and you come back and go back in, you know.
Yeah.
We want to kinda get an idea of what we wanna do.
Mhm.
I don't believe, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not gonna claim to be one, but, we're already giving monies to those lake associations now. It wouldn't be any different than what they're doing now.
Okay,
And AWA is the same thing. They go out there, do their thing, we don't get anything back from them saying, this is what we did, this and that. We would like to, just so that we could, when you guys come back to us and say, hey, we want some more money, or we want a lot more money, you know, justify it.
mhm,
Because that's how you get more money, is by justifying it. And I honestly believe that the town of Acton would definitely pony up if they knew it was justified.
uh-huh,
Problem we have right now is, if you're on one of these roads are qualified, they're great, but nobody else is getting any help.
mhm.
And we have to figure out another way to do that, and I think this is the way to do it.
So would you be expecting the road committee to write up this plan, or is there something already?
I think the road committee, I like to see the road committee get into this in depth. I think it's a good project for you guys, you know, and come up with some sort of structure, you know, I'll help, whatever, to get some sort of something we can give to Mousom Lake, Great East Lake, Square Pond. Because Square Pond, like we were just talking, I don't believe there's any road associations over there, but there's a really big lake association over there that does a lot of work.
Mhm.
Okay, so, but they don't have any road association, so anything on their little private roads, they're taking care of that themselves.
Yep.
Where something like here, you know, they might be able to get a couple, $3,000-4,000 a year just to help do whatever,
Mhm.
okay? We had that issue with that one road, I can't remember the name of the road, it was up on Great East. And, you know, there was 3 houses on it, didn't have a lot of money. And at the end of it, I don't think they even qualified, I think, but they got some money anyways, and we figured out we probably shouldn't have, but
Mhm.
too many of those roads exist.
Yep.
And if we can come up with some sort of structure of, okay, we'll use, what lake am I looking at? We'll use Bulge Lake, we'll use Bulge. Bulge was one of those ones there that didn't qualify, and thought they did,
Mhm.
and you remember that.
Yes.
And you know, say, okay, Bulge Lake, you know, we wanna be able to give you, and you ask us for, say, like $5,000, okay, for, social services or whatever, just like Grady's doing now. And, we want you to give us, a list at the end of what you did, where these projects, how it benefited the lake, a summary. Where, what address it got worked on, and a summary, and myself, you know, hey, if you can have DEP come out and say this is a great idea, that's a good idea too. You know, then it juices up the pot a little bit, justifies, so.
And as we're writing this plan, what role do you think this committee has in overseeing?
Yeah, I think there is, I mean, if you look down through here, and, which is pretty impressive, Jay, but you look down through here and you see the total miles of road, or better yet, number of lots and residents and all that. Then what you can do is kind of help justify whether or not this lake association should be getting this amount of money. This one shouldn't get this money. Oh, this one should get more than this one because this one's got way less projects, whatever. I think the road committee could have a real big impact on that.
So, we would follow up like we do now with, projects. And so there's accountability to the money because, what I'm,
I don't think we necessarily have to do exactly what we're doing now. What we're doing now is we're inspecting them. You know, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have a summary of what I want, have them send us that stuff. I wanna stay out of it as much as possible when it comes to that part of it. You know, and if they have something from DEP, I'm fine with that.
how would we know what's working though?
What's it?
How would we know if it's, I mean, right now, we know that all of the Article 43 money has been spent the
Yep.
way it was supposed to.
Because that's why we're gonna want a summary every year of the monies that we've given them. They're gonna give us a summary back of what they spent.
Uh-huh,
We're gonna need that. I
okay,
mean, definitely, because we don't want it going to a lake association and have them just piling up all our money and nothing being done. You know, we're gonna have to have some sort of account. And the way I look at it is, if we give this money to a lake association and they did nothing, they're gonna get nothing, you know? It would be to the lake association's benefit and the people out there that I know will want this money to make sure that money gets spent.
okay.
No, I feel like if we give them the money, I feel like they're gonna use it. If we want a summary back, I mean, I feel like they're gonna, I think we'd get a good return back on it. I think so.
Uh-huh.
Especially if we just laid out how we want it, you know what I mean? I don't think there'd be a problem.
The only real fear is, like Great East, for example, or whatever, the work going out of state, like, you know what I mean, or Horns Pond going out of state, and like that's, I think, what myself is one of my biggest worries about the whole thing, and I do realize that it helps the lake quality, but Wakefield can help their own wake, you know what I mean, like, I don't think
Yeah,
we
we
should
don't-
be
we don't
subsidizing other people that live on the lakes. And the same thing with working in people's yards, and I do agree with the AWA thing, but the reality is that some of these houses are multi-million-dollar houses, and why should I, as a taxpayer, be paying for you to fix your driveway when you got house value of $2.5 million and I'm sitting in a $300,000 house?
We're already doing it.
Well, I know we are to a degree with
Yeah,
that.
anyone does that.
No, I am, but that's only a couple thousand
But-
bucks, it's not real money. I mean, we're not giving them,
I understand that, but if we,
that's my biggest.
I have some
That's why I said
questions and
if we-
comments on that.
yeah, but what I was saying was, that's why we want a summary and location where.
Oh, no, I agree with you on that, I agree with you.
That-
There needs to be a big, they gotta be able to hold them in that box, or it's gonna go out of.
And I think that's relatively easy to do. I mean, all they have to do is put a GPS coordinate or an address or whatever, or where that work was done. You know, we don't.
I just like to see it more towards the road work end of it than fixing a guy's driveway. for that.
Typically, I believe that's
Oh,
probably.
I think you're right, it
be.
probably majority will, but if we do away with the Article 43, if that is the intention of doing away with that, then I'm gonna use your road, for example, Jay, because you get money out of it. who's to say that Great East Lake is gonna give you another nickel out of that money? They might say, you know, I'm sorry about you, Jay, but you guys have had this, and your road's actually pretty nice, but you spent a lot of money on it, and this road over here needs the work, and you're not getting no money for 4 or 5 years, and some of these roads, I'm afraid, aren't gonna get the money that they need. And I agree with
You know what
doing this,
happens?
Dave, but I think what we should do is keep both, right? Because if you keep them both, we're only talking $9,000. I mean, people are almost getting that in one
Well, you
raise.
say that, the $9,000, you know, the other night at the finance committee meeting, they wanna up that to 50, okay? And so you gotta pick one of the.
Well, no, I agree with you. I don't think it needs to be $50,000. It should be a maintained amount. What I'm saying is I don't feel the people have benefited from the Article 43 thing. There's a lot of people, and I mean, I know there's only certain roads, but on those roads, there's a lot of lots,
Yeah,
right? So there is a lot of people that have benefited, and it is short money. We're talking what? I don't remember what they put in originally, 20 grand or 50 grand or something.
it's 50,000.
50,000 6 years ago or something. So I mean, that's really no real money for what has helped certain people. You know, like that. I mean,
But
some
we
people-
also put a cap on that.
No, I know.
The cap slowed the spending down a little.
No, I know.
But, and I understand what you're saying,
I think both things are good, and I think we should do both.
the only thing is, the problem we're having is this, if we continue the Article 43, okay, we talked about it, was when it ran out of money, we weren't gonna fund it until we went back to the town to say, do we still wanna do this? When Article 43 was originally passed, you remember this, that all these roads were supposed to get money.
No, I agree.
And it really wasn't put out there correctly.
No, but there's ways that we could work around that, right? Because
Yeah.
Shapley, they do it, even though it might not be completely legal. Nobody's took them to court in the last
Yeah.
25 years.
No,
Yeah.
Shapley, they did theirs differently, you know. we
Oh,
talked-
but what we could do, this is just a suggestion, is set up an account, and we only got a limited number of roads or whatever. Let's say we took $20,000 and we do it as a donation, right? We're just blanket, you don't, and you gotta have whatever, the conditions that we come up with. And every year you got like $20,000, and if every road on here comes in, then you're gonna get X amount of dollars. I don't know the math, so I'm not gonna say the number, and if only 2 people come out, then I guess you get 10,000 apiece or something of that. That is a way we can move and get some of these other roads, like, I'm not picking on Winchell Lane, but like a road like Winchell Lane that has 30, 40 houses, I don't know what the,
26.
26, so, yeah. They should, by all rights, there should be a way to get money to them. And in the same aspects, if you look at some of the roads that Shapley's maintaining, they're not all in lakes.
Yeah, but those are different, because what happened with Shapley is when they did.
Oh,
their
no, I know
roads,
why they did it.
They got their easements.
No, I know, but why can't we do the easements?
But to be clear, it's not helping an individual, and it shouldn't be helping, it's all about the lake, right?
Yeah.
There's a setup not to help,
No, it's a totally different conversation.
Yeah,
than
I'm under the
Article
impression
43.
that
Probably-
43 funds are strictly for
the lake,
preserving lakes and waterways.
exactly.
So the problem, your theory would be great if I don't think we can do that, because it would have to go to a non-profit, something, you know,
Well,
like a donation.
if you have an association,
Yeah.
like Jay's association's a non-profit,
Yeah.
right? He falls into you got probably the same classifications
I
as
think
we
we
could
tried
to
this
the.
once before though, didn't we?
I don't know.
I believe your dad.
You'd have to ask Cindy
The
this.
Lakeside Drive, Friends of Lakeside was created just for that purpose, and didn't fly.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I do, and that's why I wanted to stay away from that, because I think that did fail. I think it was legally, we couldn't, don't take my word for it, I might be wrong.
Well, maybe something to look into. Like this is a donation now. It's all how you give the money because we give money to. I mean, we give money all over the place. I mean, I
So the
don't
way,
know.
the way you look at it says, if we say give $10,000 to Great East Lake Association, and they don't put any money in their road or roads that should need it, okay?
That's my fear.
What's that?
That is my fear, Dave.
And
That's
then-
exactly what's
then
going
we'll
on.
have-
That's wasted money that somebody else could take
And I'm
and use.
sure Mr. Ward would know that,
Yeah, but there's 300, 400 houses on Great East, right? So
Yes.
Jay's, you people on you're only a small portion.
40, yeah.
Yeah, you're 40 out of X amount on the whole lake. So
Yeah.
you really, as an association, a small road's gonna have 0 pull, and even a bigger road like your road's not gonna have a huge amount of pull. You know, unless your friend's the president, and you know what I mean, and how all that kind of stuff works.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios we can go over here. We're just trying to make it so more of the lake.
Oh no, I agree with you 100%. I agree with 100% what you're doing.
And so, to keep the Article 43, myself, I believe it goes back to how vote it fails. Because it's only doing 5 or 6 different roads. It's not doing what it originally was intended to do. Because when it was, you remember this.
Oh, no.
But Dave, let me just stop you right here. It was intended to work a certain way, but the application, which was not formed by the people that developed Article 43, they had to conform to that because
Because
the
the state,
lawyers said,
the state,
no, the lawyers,
No,
For the
the
town.
lawyer was going after what the state was requiring.
right,
And when you looked at what the state required, the lake study, all that other stuff,
right,
it blew everybody out of the water. Okay?
exactly.
So, but when it was politic to be passed, 100 and some roads were gonna get money, everybody's gonna get a little of this, a little of that. Then when it all came down to doing the actual thing, we got 6 roads.
9.
No,
Uh,
no,
Well, but what gets most of the, who gets most of the money? It's not 9, it's 5 or 6 of them.
right, but that is doing a lot of great work to protect the
For
lake.
those roads,
Well, no,
nobody argues that.
For the
no,
lakes.
for the lake,
Not for the.
for the lake.
But your road is only a little piece of that lake.
Right, but there are some that cannot come up with the funding to, like, most of these projects cost a lot more than the $3,000,
Yep.
right? They can't afford to do that.
Yep.
So this, I think, is a great way to help, but you don't throw away the program that is really doing some good work with Article 43. I mean, I think you can run both simultaneously, because that will pick up,
He'll pick
what
up
you're
the slack.
suggesting, will pick up some of those hardship cases.
Well, then, and then at that point, then you have what happens if we give that money to it and don't go to those places, and then it doubles up on one of those roads already getting money.
Well, we'll have to make sure that that
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
exactly, you know,
Right.
there's so many scenarios here.
There's, right, exactly,
But you can put that all in the process of the application.
certainly.
But we were concerned about the lack of distribution of this money going to other places. And we figured we'd come up with an idea, this was the idea we came up with, to distribute the money to more locations.
Yes,
And I believe, even if we have to put in a lot more money, as long as it's going to a lot more places, okay, but if we stick with Article 43, and then we do this also, I don't think the impact will be as big. Because I don't think we can give enough to the social service side of it to make the impact. That's what I would be worried about.
I would want to, so I think maybe a solution would be to do some test cases with the lake associations to see if
how it
it
works.
can move.
See how it works before you go
I
put it
think what
in.
we really gotta do is talk to the lake association and say, okay, what can you bring to the table here? What is your priorities?
So I would think that maybe we could say today that we will put together a work group with representation from the lake associations, all the lake associations
We're
and
putting
the
money,
town.
we're putting money forward right now on an article to keep Article 43 afloat,
Uh-huh. Yep,
okay?
Yep.
I believe right now with the 9 that we have now, will be excluded probably another 3,000, that'll be 6, okay, after Lakeside gets their monies, okay? And then you have the additional 9 on top of that, so you have $15,000 here to work for another 8 months, 9 months, whatever.
right,
That'll
but the
go away.
6,000 is
I
going
think that'll
away.
keep it
15,000 will keep it going
I
good.
did that, I did that,
That's good.
I put that forward
Yep.
to make sure that we can continue this process. Now, if there's a change in it, I have no problem. I just wanna make sure that this wasn't for nothing.
Yeah,
I wanna make sure that, the money gets dispersed, so more people on roads that are unfortunately smaller and don't have the established road associations like some do, can benefit also.
so we have about 6 weeks before the town meeting.
Yep,
What are the expectations?
there's no expectations at this point, because I'm putting this money, well, when I say me,
Yeah, we understand.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
hopefully they do too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
that when we put this money forward, this is to keep the progress rolling. So, keep having your meetings, see if we can get some lake associations together,
Uh-huh.
and see if we can make some progress. I believe, and the selectmen believe, that as long as there's progress, that we're moving to the right, or the right spot here, that we'll do what we have to do.
Bill, you had some,
I have a bunch of comments and questions on this. Now, I understand what David's saying here, and I think it's probably good. It's gonna be good overall if it works. But here's the first thing right off the bat. If you expose more roads, more people to using money, in my mind, I see this budget for the private road association reserve, which will turn into the lake association reserve. And this is an old sheet.
Yeah, that's what people.
I'm just saying the $50,000 that we started with last year, we're gonna need to.
No,
I don't know, that was like 6 years ago.
6 years
Or
ago.
whatever.
5 years
What I'm saying, we had that for last year, 50,000 original
Do
dollars.
you know what we spend every year on social services in the town of
A
Acton?
lot.
A lot,
How
yeah.
much you think?
I don't remember. I saw
do.
the budget, but I had forgotten.
$96,000.
Well, and my
Okay.
point is, if people would use it,
Go up.
and there are gaps in what we're doing, then we need to improve the waters of the lakes or streams. I see this budget needing to maybe possibly double or more.
Which budget are you talking about?
The whatever money we're gonna, Article 43 money, that's
So-
what I'm talking about.
So that wouldn't even make sense to double that, because the way we've got it set up, it took how many years to use it?
Well, but some roads are catching on here, and I'm looking at the sheets of who used what, and by road footage, some that aren't the biggest roads, longest roads, used a lot more money, but they just because they asked for it.
No, because the way their road associations are established and set up, they meet the criteria. Some of these roads that could be really long don't have those established road associations, so they don't.
And I was thinking not all roads are equal, because some roads might be perfectly flat in a sandy area where there's virtually low or no runoff unless it's a, extreme storm event. Where other roads that are on hills closer to the shores of whatever body of water or stream it is are constantly dumping in, and they need more attention. So.
And also, you take the 7th Streets, 13th Streets, your road, Jay, I don't know who else, you guys' roads, you guys take a great care of your roads. There's some really good road associations in town, because they have really good people running them that are right on them. And I'm gonna use Bill Gannon. Remember Bill Gannon? He was all about his road, and those guys did a lot of work at 13th Street and spent a lot of money to get their roads up, because that road association worked at it. A lot of these road associations unfortunately don't do that. So what ends up happening is, if you have an individual living on a private road that doesn't belong to a road association that works, or you don't have one, they're at a disadvantage because they can't get any money to fix the road. But if they can go to the lake association and say, hey, we got all this stuff running in the lake, we don't have a road association, how can I get help? They can help.
Right, and I mean, some road associations, to your knowledge, is it mandatory for those residents to be on that, or is it voluntary?
State of Maine, anything over 2 houses or 3 houses, you're supposed to have a road association.
If it's
Nobody
private.
enforces it.
Okay,
Okay, so, now, it only takes 2 or 3 people on a road to create a road association. That doesn't mean homes, people, to create a road association. And they can either do a statutory, there's all kinds of different ones you can do. But, they can force you to pay dues, legally.
you can put liens on it.
yeah, and I think dues is good, because that makes the private residents have some skin in the game on their roads.
Well, and they do. That's why, like these guys' roads, your roads, that's why they're in the shape they are, because they've got those road associations with the dues, and people pay them. And if they don't, they make sure they do. And, but unfortunately, like I just said, you're gonna get those instances where you, have those small little roads that only have a couple houses on them, that don't have the road associations, that don't have the funds to fix them, that stuff, who pays for that?
That's,
They don't-
well, that's
they
a
don't-
question, and if I could, I wanted to ask a general question to Lakeside. How does the joining roads to Lakeside affect your maintenance issues or costs? Maybe runoff or traffic-wise, do they affect your, how much work you have to do
Off
to
the
your road?
lakeside, we've got Foley Way, which has a lot of frontage on the lake. We've got Cottage, Joe's Road. And yeah, they all affect the road. Buzzell Road, which,
But what I'm asking is, how do those roads affect your road as far as the maintenance that you need to do? Do they?
Well, they're
does-
actually part of
they are
their
part of our
association.
association.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
included,
All
okay.
yes, all the small roads off the lakeside are part of our
So do
association.
you stop at like Buzzell Road then? Is that where you stop?
We start at the three corners up on top of Buzzell Road,
Okay,
and we go all the way down to Joe's Road.
okay. So,
Foley Road is off of that.
so if one of these other side roads is putting sediment into the ditches on your road, when there comes a time for an issue and needs a repair, do they will be covered as well if,
Well, they cover it because they're in our association.
okay, so like if one of the side roads is dumping the sediment and you go to do the ditch, you're probably gonna try and extend it into their road and fix that as well?
We do, like I said, because it's part of us.
Okay,
We're all one association.
okay.
Like about, I think it's 4 roads.
All right,
Not
so-
all of them like that though.
So now the next question I had was, basically we started talking about it. What happens if the monies goes to private landowners as opposed to a public way, in regards to the private roads? And this is a concern that, a little bit that I have on if we go with the Lake Association, go that way where we're giving the 43 money there and they're dispersing it. We need some kind of a, I feel that we would need some kind of guidelines for, I mean, if a private landowner is dumping onto that private road sediment or what have you, I feel that they should have to pay something to the private road association, or either that, or because basically the town is fixing up properties with this money if it goes directly to the private landowner versus strictly staying along the public ways and runoffs of those public
Everything you
ways.
just said was completely wrong, because there's no public ways.
Well, when I
The
say,
town ain't paying for any of it, because what would happen was, the money's gonna go to the Lake Association, Lake will be paying for that.
let me clarify then, the private, money for one landowner, private landowner's driveway that connects to the private road should not be connected to,
We could solve this problem pretty quick, and we can get rid of the private property part of it. We could always write it up as a road issue, you know?
I mean, you know, when there is a property dumping and it's running through the ditch and getting to the lake, that's still an issue for the town, but
That's not an issue for the town at all.
that's just because a landowner may be negligent in
Yep.
how he maintains his
At that
land.
point in time, typically, now we're talking all private roads here, right?
Right.
Okay, so there's no problem with the town at this point, unfortunately. But, so if somebody's property is running dirt out into a private road, okay, that becomes a private road issue. And it also becomes a DEP issue at that point. That becomes state. Town can't come in and control that situation at all, okay? Unless there was a complete washout where, where we get involved is when there's no more access to that road. That's when we get involved, to make sure there's access. That's our job. The other side of it, that's why we're trying to give more money to the lake associations to solve those issues,
Right.
okay? But we can't be directly involved, because we're directly involved, then you have guidelines that you have to directly go by. By doing it the way I'm talking about, I'm not trying to, get around the system, but it's getting around the system. Because it allows you to do more, because we're not involved. This is a charity.
Right, I'm just, and maybe I'm way out in left field, but.
So the Article 43 right now, like, when, he just gave a quote on what had to be done, okay? That qualified. Now, if I looked at it hard enough, I might have said, maybe the cleaning of the riprap, that's maintenance now. No, okay, because he's putting in another pond, this and that. But you're not allowed to do any maintenance on Article 43. Article 43 is supposed to be to mitigate an issue over a certain amount of time. So that becomes an issue too. So now you can't do the cleanups, the stuff like that, where I believe the lake associations could allow that. And that's really the biggest problem.
I mean, it's just that I'm seeing like a hypothetical with the lake association dispersing money and more people get exposed. You might have a new private road that starts using 43 funds because they want to do maintenance, but they
You
decide.
can't do maintenance on Article 43.
But they decide as they're doing their road maintenance that it's necessary to put gravel on 3 out of 10 driveways for 50 feet to control the runoff coming into their private road. And so then at that point, 43 money is going to go on private land.
Well, it doesn't matter. Well, it did.
Right, and I'm just worried because if we don't make a larger budget, there's no way that we can accommodate more than we have up till now, as far as money-wise.
Nobody's saying that we were gonna stay with a small budget like 9,000 we're talking about. Obviously, if we go out to the lake associations, we were gonna have to up those numbers quite a bit. And that's why I said, we're
Right.
talking about social services, and we're already spending $90-some thousand a year now. So, whether or not that's appropriate or not, I don't know.
I mean,
But I would think the lakes would be more important than some of the stuff we are just giving away money.
oh, I agree, and I was just going to say that if there is a need and it's going to improve the lakes, that this is still good money spent. But times are getting tougher on everything. That we're going to have to watch how much the town is responsible for this with Article 43.
I think it would be naive for us to believe that the lake associations could be giving money to roads unless they were organized, right? Because, quite frankly, they're not gonna come in and say, you have to fix your road this way, right? So you're gonna probably still have the same amount of problems where roads indeed might not be able to get it because they're not gonna be organized.
But you know what? That's on them. Okay.
Oh, no,
Well,
it's on
I know your lake, your road association. I could guarantee Abbott Road Lake Association once a year will put in for money through that lake association, right?
Well, we would.
Just like you do now.
Yeah, we would.
You
But
could.
that's why we shouldn't overlook the fact that because limited road associations have been getting the money,
Yeah.
they're the ones that are organized and can do it,
Exactly. Yep.
right?
I don't wanna
if
hurt
we
them.
open it up to more, it may help bringing in some of those road.
And
And build
and the
road
budget numbers
associations.
go up, okay, and I'm the last guy who wants to see budget numbers go up. My job is to cut numbers, okay? But there is at a certain point where if the numbers have to rise to the occasion, okay, then you do it. It's only what the town of Acton wants to do. But, if we look at the lake associations and say we do it's gotta be a road-related washout or whatever, come up with some sort of description of what it has to be for. This is all preliminary stuff. We're coming up with this on the fly here, okay? We started talking about the private stuff, maybe we wanna stay away from that. But now and then there's a retention pond that probably should have been thrown in somewhere that a private property would allow you to do with an easement that would help the situation. So, you don't wanna throw all those eggs out of the basket. But, money-wise, I don't think that's the concern here.
Right, it's
I
to
think-
make sure that it going to the right places and
Exactly.
we can expand it.
And I think that can be
That's the most
structured.
important,
Right.
though.
I think that can be structured.
Right,
And as we started, everything will evolve. You know, when we did Article 43, we noticed, oh, we had some issues here, and when the maintenance was part of it, remember that? You know, they had that line in
I
there.
do, and I don't agree with that.
I know, I'm not arguing with you today, Jay. So, but, you know, there was part of that statute said that we weren't allowed to do maintenance. It had to be a mitigation, okay? Well, a lot of stuff that runs through, you know, oh, the Crown of the Road, that's maintenance, or is it mitigation? Well, that's what you're supposed to do every year, but, you know, we've overlooked maybe some of that stuff, we try to, you know, because we think it's for the benefit, but if we were to go to the T, it would very limit you. It would limit you to what you were allowed to do in Article 43, if we really went to the T, and we could. The wrong person looks at that, you know, you could make it very difficult. We don't want to make it that way, but what I like to do is open it up, make it easier.
Because this is a pretty onerous document right here. I mean, to do that, right, is a lot of work that's involved. The reason why you're seeing multiple applications is because once you
It's easy
build
once you've done
this,
it.
you create it, it's easy to cut and paste, right? So if we could help other smaller road associations, that would be helpful, that you could keep Article 43 and you'd be expanding it. But
I wonder if, the last question or topic I had was, I wonder if there should be some kind of standardizing of how the roads get overhauled or repaired, or, I mean, every situation is gonna be a little different depending on the road, the geography, but we don't want, I would not feel really good if we gave money and they used it, but basically they just scraped the dirt around a little bit with that money, so to speak, and then a year from now, they're in the same condition they were before.
I can tell you a road right now that we gave Article 43 funds to, that I had to go up and inspect after the washout, and it wasn't done.
And that's
the way
my
it was supposed
point,
to be
that where they could have used some culverts or some, you know, rocks in the ditches for dams for sediment or whatever. Instead of doing that, they just scraped it all straight. Looked beautiful, but then 6 months or a year from now, you're back to having to give them money again because they're running in the lake again. So
it's tough.
we need guidelines or.
You really can't do that. I mean, the only way you'd ever be able to do something like that, it would have to be, everything would be engineered, and you know, it'd
Well, it's
be.
supposed to be in an Article 43 thing now, right? That you gotta have AWAR or something come up with an engineered type of a plan.
No, so what we changed it so that you know, all they had to do was have some sort. It'd be a sketch.
Yeah, no, but
You
it'd
know,
be
but it
done through
doesn't-
like AWAR or something like that, right? Is that how it is now? If you drop that?
We get
DEP.
an estimate from the contract.
Yes.
Oh,
He
so
looks at it,
contractors can do it now?
Can I make a comment or two?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I'm not running this meeting.
You're talking about distributing money, that's great.
What?
To distribute the money to
Yeah.
you're also talking non-associations?
Not lakefront roads.
Okay,
You know, private roads.
private,
okay. Personally, that's great, but I think that if you distribute money to non-associations that are not kicking in any money, I think they're gonna depend on that every year. I think that maybe matching funds, something like that,
Yeah.
idea.
That's on the Lake Association.
Okay.
They could come up with
All
that.
right, my other thing is, you're saying that you're gonna give a chunk of money to the road association, the lake association. Are you talking about Gila? Or are you talking
Gila,
about?
yeah, Great East Lake Association.
Bulge Lake Association, Square Pond
Okay, so
Association.
you're asking Gila to distribute the money to
Yeah.
all the different associations
Yes.
on the lake?
All the different properties, roads, whatever, that need work. Yes.
Okay, so it'll be up to them to distribute the money?
Yes.
So they're gonna need someone to drive around and inspect the roads, saying, okay, you need this money?
Not necessarily, I mean, I'm sure,
Or we'll ask them for it?
you know, all I believe that we need at the end of the day is pictures and summaries of what was done where and how much money was spent on it.
So have you talked to them about doing this test?
We're working on this now, that's what we're in
Yeah,
the
I've had
process.
conversations with them,
Okay, they're in favor.
so far, but of course, it was in concept, not actual language, so they don't know what we're going to be expecting from them, or how they can distributed or anything. I mean, those rules have to be,
When do they have their meetings, Jay?
See,
was that,
When do the
Starting
Great East
over.
Lake Association have their annual?
it's in the summer, but they meet periodically, and I met with the board
Yeah.
on it.
We got plenty of time, because we're prolonging the Article 43 now. We did that, I put forward that article to give this committee plenty of time to do their homework. And if it all falls apart, it falls apart.
Well, I think
Why?
we can come up with an application, like maybe possible, like a rough deal, so when the lake associations have their yearly meetings, that they can look at let them know it's not exact, you know what I mean, but that way they can get the whole lake association. That way, like, my fear is that talking to one or two people, you're getting two people's opinion of a 300-400 person association. I know from my own past road association, sometimes what I want doesn't always go through everybody's ears, you know?
So how about we try to get as quickly as possible, the next month or two, get
The preliminary thing.
a work group together, and we hold our first meeting and then go from there with people from the town, people from the 6 or 7 lake associations.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth a shot.
I would also ask if we could increase that 9, if that's possible. So just to get us through the year.
Well, I mean, the way I'm looking at it right now, you'll have 5 more requests after this. We don't normally get much more than that anyways in a year's time, do we?
No, but if, I assume that we can then do a petition to have a special
I
meeting.
think at that point, what we'll do, you'll have 5 more requests at this point, because you Lakeside's got their
If they're the full 3, yeah.
Yeah, and you always go for the full 3, don't you? You do.
So you're adding 9, right? So
Yeah,
what-
we're adding
and we're gonna
another
have, we're gonna have money left over
Well, 15,
from this year.
But, well, it ends,
No.
that money goes back.
So it's just gonna be 9 after.
So what happens is, when we voted the 9,000 at the special town meeting, that's to be spent till July 1st. If it doesn't get spent, then it disappears.
Right, because
So
with the idea
So
that
it'll be
we
9
have-
from July
There
1st.
on.
on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I believe, looking at the calendar right now, that I'm sure the 9 will be spent. And I'm sure we'll get Article 43s here in a hurry, knowing there's only another 6,000 left. And now I'll give you another 3. Of course, we like to roll that number for now, because I think it's being generous enough, just keep it rolling. And after that, obviously, if we have a special town meeting, something that gets run up, maybe we can add to it then. But for right
And
now, for taxation right now, we think it's a good idea to just roll the 9.
You could do a petition and have a
Oh, yeah.
special meeting, right?
You don't need to do a petition.
No, but if it came to that and
No, you
there's no
could.
more money and, We certainly
The
could do
petition's a hard way to do it. Typically, what'll end up happening, we'll watch that budget, and something else comes up, and we feel that it's something that we have to address, then we can address it at that point. But petitions, that's a lot of work for nothing.
okay?
So I have a question. If we go, if after we have meetings and we start moving forward with the lake associations, won't we still need though to have Article 43 for private roads that are not near any lakes that still,
Article
No,
40.
they can't.
for
so,
example, like Flat Ground Road?
Right now, Article 43 is not applicable to them. So on the list of all of those roads, private roads that are not on the lake, they will never be.
Well, for example, Flat Ground Road does have runoff that goes into
Flat
the
Ground Road
river.
gets
We
funded
take
by the
it
town
by
of
the
Acton.
town.
But it's a private or it's town road?
No, let's not get into that tonight, Bill.
All right, well, I know that's a
I
contested
thought you
thing.
looked at me.
So that's, I only threw that as an example, but I'm sure there's
Let's use
other.
Winchell Lane, let's use Winchell Lane, because Winchell Lane doesn't get any funds or anything. Winchell Lane, doesn't qualify for Article 43, because it's not part of a Great Pond, doesn't have a lake study, and, that's
See,
it.
I'd like to see if there's a way to get Winchell Lane money. There's gotta be a way,
You
there's gotta
can't.
be a way, Dave.
We've looked into it.
Why can't we just do a donation?
The reason why Article 43, the only reason Article 43 is because of the loophole.
Oh, no, I
Because
get
of
that.
The DEP and the Great Pond.
Oh, no,
I
I
would
get
say,
that.
I would say it's not a loophole.
But we got
It's written to
$97,000 worth
If Winchell Lane is in that bad need of repairs and there's 20-something residences
Doesn't matter.
there, whatever. Um,
They
No,
have
so
to-
what happens, Bill?
Sounds to me that they have to come up with some money.
No, but that's not how it
upgrade.
works. What ends up happening is there's a few people on that road that pick it up and they do the work because they're sick of seeing this person having to baja up over rocks or go up over the nasty hill and over the ice. And I really would like to see, I'm not saying that we gotta take care of Winchell Lane, I'm not saying that there's a pile of Winchell Lanes that could take a little bit of money, so two people aren't buying the gravel and grading the road every year.
My road, well, there were people on my road who wanted to do a road association. Okay, 2 of them went around, each house, da-da-da-da-da-da, and it just took a handful of people, said, I don't wanna pay dues, I got 4-wheel drive. You know, and that was it,
No,
but
but-
because they were used to myself and my
Yeah.
dad and everybody grading it and plowing it for free.
And
And
sanding
when I
it.
sold the house on top of the hill, I'm at the front now, I don't do that. Now all of a sudden, when you have to start buying gravel and stuff, and they call it, they want to load gravel, it's, $500-600 a load, well, that hits home,
That's a bargain, 500 or 600.
yeah, because I'm delivering it for free. But not all those roads have those, people who can do that either.
Well, just a general question for myself. How far is Winchell Lane from being a town road?
It can never be a town
Oh,
road.
no,
Never.
No, because you gotta look at the road ordinance.
it doesn't, there's no way it could ever.
Most
conform.
of the private roads in town of Acton can never be a town road.
No,
Just because they won't meet the
They don't
standard.
meet
Not even
any
close.
standard or close.
Okay. I mean, I've never driven.
which we
Winchell
should be
Lane.
looking at that at some point too.
And we've talked about that.
I think we
You
should.
and I have
Yeah,
talked about
no,
this
yeah,
for
yeah.
a long time.
I think it should be done.
And I wanted to see amendment to our road ordinance stating that any road that was built before a certain amount of time was exempt from that road ordinance, from that, I guess, from road ordinance, I guess. But that's another topic. We're gonna get
That's
away from
another-
that. We're going from,
Sorry, I
we just went
didn't
from
I didn't
water
need to
to
go that
back
far.
roads, so.
We have,
uh,
yeah,
I just had a couple thoughts. So I'm Adele Scritchfield. I'm on the Tattle Street Road Association. And so the first thing is Tattle Street has more roads, as he mentioned. So when you look at the numbers here, there's more feet that Tattle Street Road Association managed than just Tattle Street.
Yep.
The other thing with Article 43 is I can almost guarantee every application, their project costs more than what the
Yes.
town gave them.
Yeah.
So when you talk about opening this up, are you gonna just pay for the whole entire project? Or are you gonna make some of these people come to the table to contribute to it? So when I think about that, we raised a lot of funds. We participated in the 319 grants. You may not know what that is, but what that is the state would contribute to a project if the owner or the road or whoever filled the application paid like 50% of it. So that's an idea to get some ownership into this. You could run it like a 319 grant per se. It has to be contributing to runoff. The other thing I think about is the Acton Shapa Youth Association group. So they work, they actually, when I was on the board of the 319 grant, I worked with them, and they actually got money from the grant to fix runoff issues on people's private land. So they would go in there and they would work with the owners to put walkways or whatever the project was to prevent runoff. So that's another area where they already get money. Maybe they can manage some of this, work that
With
people.
more money, manage more.
Maybe more goes to them because they actually have a process where they get people who apply.
Well, I mean, we give a lot of money to that association. And,
Yeah.
and I believe they do a good job. Maybe they're doing that part already. Maybe this part here will take care of the bigger stuff.
Well, and that's all I'm saying, that's a group, you know, you're looking for lake associations to, we're gonna start from scratch, trying to come up with a process, they have to manage it, there's a lot of work involved in
And
that.
I don't believe that. You know, these lake associations, take Great East Lake brings in a lot of money a year, okay? And, you know, they ask for a lot of money a year too. And
But they're all volunteer.
I understand that, okay? Most road associations are too.
They all are, yeah.
Okay, so, you know, and I hear a lot of, we gotta protect the lakes, we gotta protect the lakes. Well, we're giving them a golden spoon here. Okay, giving them funds to relay them up, okay? You don't believe so?
Well, I don't know what the reference to a
What-
golden
So,
spoon.
we're giving a big check, okay?
What do they do? So I'm not sure about what lake associations do. Are they protecting, like on Mousom, they do that award collection, they do snail things?
I'm not worried about that stuff at this point in time. I mean, when I'm
No, I'm
looking-
just wondering,
They do, yes, they do, they do a lot of that, of course, they do the inspections on the boats and all kinds of stuff like that. I know Square does that, they
They
pick
do it
seals out of the
all,
water.
yeah. And they
Weird.
do all their own boat inspections too,
Yeah.
Square
Yeah.
Pond Association.
So,
but I mean, he acts like they're just giving it, you know, they're just.
no, don't put words in my mouth.
Okay,
Mr.
well, just the
Scotfield,
golden
okay?
spoon thing, I was
No,
trying to figure out.
No, 'cause we don't have to give these charities away every year. We did pull them one year, okay? We want to give more to them, okay? But we're not gonna give more to them unless we know that some other stuff can be done with this money. That's all I'm doing.
So all I was saying, and I don't know if you had a problem with the Acton Shapley.
I have no problem with any of them.
No, I'm just saying, they have a process in place already, that's all I was saying.
Yep, I
And
know.
that. the
I've worked with
lake
all those places before.
Yeah, so,
Before you guys did. I was doing this back in the road commission. I was dealing with all these people for years. I dealt with York County Soils, I was dealing with AWA, all those people, and they do a great job.
yeah,
But they have their certain things that they do. I want to expand this, okay? And when I'm talking about Golden Spoon, I don't know, whatever, I just want to see more funds get out into the public.
I agree, I'm just saying, they might they might be able to manage some of it, because they already have a process in place. I'm not trying to say, you have a bad idea, I'm not trying to be antagonistic, you look like you're getting upset, but.
Oh, I'm just been standing here for a long time, so I kind of have to wiggle around a little bit, stay awake.
Okay.
So,
What was your name again?
Adele Scritchfield, so I live on 34th, I'm on Town Street Road Association. I'm one of the offenders where we, get all kind, you know, we've had, four, Article 43 grants, not all of them were $3,000. We went after a lot of, 319 grants, we spent thousands and thousands of dollars out of our budget to fix a lot of runoff issues. We have done a lot of work, we've had years and years of projects to stop runoff into the lake. So I can tell you this Article 43 works, and the road associations who take advantage of it, which is one more point I wanted to make. Maybe we do help the associations that haven't applied and show them that it's not that big a deal, that they can actually get some money to help problems on their road.
you can do that all you want, but when they don't qualify, that's the problem, they
I'm
don't
saying in this
qualify.
new process.
Well, a lot of the
New
roads,
process.
a lot of the roads don't have an association, that's part of the problem, I believe, because one of the requirements of 43 is they have to have a road association, is that correct?
Yeah, it is, and it's not, like
That's-
on Balch, there's not a
That's one of
single
the
one.
That's
requirements
state-
for.
that's state law.
Mulch is because they don't have the lake study.
Well, yeah, but they don't have a single one has a road association either.
Yeah, actually, they do.
Oh, you got one wrong?
Yeah, but I didn't put it on there, but they do.
But no, I mean, this is food for thought. You know, I've been dealing with private roads in the town of Acton for about 20 years probably, okay? And it's been a nightmare. 'Cause I graded a lot of these roads back when we took care of them. Your road, I plowed your road for years, okay? Anderson Cove, all those roads, we took care of all those roads. And at one point when they discontinued them all, which I had nothing to do with, you know, this has been a complete nightmare ever since. And whenever you get an idea where you might be able to help out more, and I'm not saying Article 43 is bad, I'm just saying it's not helping enough. And, I'm just trying to come up with some ideas here to make things better, because unfortunately, Denny says, there should be a way for Winchell Lane or some road like that to get help, but there is none. State law will not let us put money on a private road. And unfortunately, we're not privileged enough to have a lake in front of it, so that makes it worse. So, I believe by doing what we've been talking about doing, at least moving in that direction, it's a foot forward. So,
One more question for you, Dave.
yeah,
Do you know how many lake associations currently that we are giving money to?
right now I think it's only two, well, no, it's three.
3.
Balch,
No,
Balch.
yeah, Balch, Great East, Mousom. Can we get the square? I should know this, we're just going to social services the other night.
yeah.
So, but when you got a zillion articles you've been dealing with for the last
Oh
2
no,
months.
it's a busy time of year.
And, but we're already giving money to those associations as it is.
Do we give it to Mousom, you know?
Yeah, I believe they call it,
Loon Pond got some, they have Loop Road has association.
No,
No,
this is,
No, I'm talking the lake.
Yeah, Lake
so,
Mousom gets it, it's under a different thing.
Yeah, it's under a,
Like what? I know what you're saying.
I forget what, it'll
I
come
thought
to
Loon Pond has a lake association.
Yeah, we don't get
Blue
money.
Pond does,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, we're not.
but we don't give any money to it.
I was just wondering how many we currently were giving to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was just.
No,
So-
that's,
so
that's a
you're
good
giving money
question.
to AWA, to,
No, I'm talking
Great
lake
East,
associations.
yep, Great East,
Great East,
Balch.
well,
I think that's all you have for,
Mousom is under a different,
different name, I think. it
yeah,
is.
I might be wrong,
Square,
I'm
something,
pretty sure we do.
Chapley, something Chapley Alliance or
Yeah.
something like that, maybe.
Yeah. It doesn't say Mousom. But,
Yeah.
but, yep.
and it's,
So,
it's kind of a nominal, it's a
Yep.
$2,000,
Yeah.
but, yeah, so we'll
We'll
continue.
work with it.
okay,
And we hope that you continue to support Article 43 like you have been. Thank you.
yeah, I will talk to the board if we make any, we will be going over our warrant articles on Wednesday night. If there's any change of heart on how much we're gonna put in there, we will not lower it, I know.
We appreciate
If we
that.
could find a little bit extra money somewhere else, we may be able to find it up, no promises, but we are still trying to keep the mill rate low.
Uh-huh.
So,
Is there some state funds that Acton can acquire for Article 43 for environmental protection?
no, not really.
It usually goes through AWA
Yeah,
or something like that. They get a lot of money.
the 319 grants like, Scotchfield was talking about, stuff like that, they usually go through those companies, you know, they don't go through the towns doing that.
Right.
York County Soil and Water had like that.
Yeah.
319 grant for like 3 or 4 years. I think it's all done now. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen much money being released. But thank you very,
Is
very
there
much.
anything else you need from me?
Anything else here?
All right, thank you
No.
very much.
Any public comments? Public comments?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I could
think
use
we're
some
all
free
set.
delivery this spring.
So what we'll do is we will get a date, and we'll give it to you as soon as we can on getting that workshop together.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay,
Perfect.
guys,
Thank you very much.
thanks for listening to me.
Motion to adjourn?
I'd like to talk about, a little bit about when we're gonna discuss all this again in more depth and detail. And I don't know,
Do you want to have a meeting before we meet with
Well, I'm
the
thinking
road
we-
associations? The lake
do-
associations?
this is a question to you, cause I'm kinda new still. Can we sit down without the cameras, just casually and talk about
Not
this,
now.
or?
No.
You can't without the cameras,
You
no.
can't.
We gotta do it in a meeting.
So everything alright, so
Everything has
that's
to be on
fine,
meeting.
so,
Well, I think we should have like another meeting and like try to like come
Lock down the application.
like lock down like an application. You know what I mean? I feel like I understand like the concern, but I feel like no offense, I feel like we're overthinking it a little.
Oh, no, you're right.
You
You're
know what I
right,
mean?
Will.
I feel like if we tell it like Great East Lake, we're gonna give you 10 grand, okay? And then that's your problem. I feel like if we tell them we want a statement pictures, you know, maybe something from DEP, I really think we'll get it out of them, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta have some kind of
You
guidelines.
need
or-
guidelines.
Thank you.
You need guidelines.
We gotta have something that stipulates that the money is going strictly to,
Yeah.
for the lakes, and
agree.
it's not to be used for private property.
It's not to be used for.
If it is, maybe
out-of-state.
there'll be a clause in there, if it is used for private, that has to be under special consideration by the panel. You know, something like that. And we need to have these guidelines, but I think if we could come up with some guidelines, or a purpose of what the money is to be used for, and then if we can come up with that, and bring in maybe the Lake Association representatives so that we can get their feedback, how they would use it, how they see using it, and then we can adjust a little more how we would progress to the next step. Because if we come up with a plan or whatever, then we talk to the Lake Association people after the fact, might end up totally changing it, you know.
And I still believe this has gotta go before legal.
No, it does have to go before.
Yeah, I'm
before
sure
we
it
talk
would,
to
yeah,
people.
I mean,
Before we talk to
Before
people,
we
because
execute.
I don't want to meet with the lake associations and come up with something and inflate them to false hopes that when legal goes through it, because the Article 43 application has been changed. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's 3 times, and it's gone through legal 3 times. Same lawyers, different lawyers, and every time a lawyer says it's good, and then a year later this application ain't good, and we got to do it this way, and a year later that.
I
You know,
agree,
that's
but
kind
so-
of my issue, but I'd like to make sure whatever we give them is something that's, so they're not wasting everybody's time.
Yeah,
But the,
because clearly when this, as Dave attested to, when this first came up, it was intended to go out to a lot more of the roads.
more people, I
But
agree,
it wasn't
yes.
the.
And it was originally, the original application was getting, I mean, it was lighting up pretty good, and then the second application, it was a little slower, and then the third application, I think it's the 3rd time now. It's,
Yeah,
it's
because this
considerably less people, and the only people that are doing it now are the ones that have been long-termers.
I mean, the amount of money we're dispersing each time is still a relatively small
3,000.
amount. I
It's
mean,
very small.
It helps.
considering what contractors and materials
And how much a
cost.
culvert actually costs.
So,
We're buying a culvert.
going back to earlier in our meeting, I'm really concerned about how much this is gonna cost the town, and
I agree with you. That's another thing I think we gotta know is what's the expectations, of the selectmen, right? Because what's the dollar amount they're putting out there? Because I agree with you.
I mean, we're
I don't
gonna,
wanna be dishing out 600, I know this is an inflated number, like $600,000 to different lake associations, and taxes go through the roof, and the reason it is because of this, and then somebody like Will, and I'm not picking on you, Will, but your budget ends up getting cut by $40,000 or $200,000 because all of a
yeah,
sudden money's
that's
gonna
gonna
come over here,
hurt,
because
that's
when you.
gonna hurt a lot
I don't
of
think
people
they,
too.
I mean, I don't think they'd let it get that, I mean, personally, I don't think they'd let it get that far.
I'm just curious what the dollar. I've heard some real numbers thrown out. You know, like an extra $10,000-$15,000 a lake association. That's what they were
Right.
saying.
I
originally.
mean,
I know that's just not etched in stone, but
There's an easy potential there to double the money
At
if
least
the
double
lake
it.
associations.
because $3,000 isn't much to give to a lake association to do work on different roads, right? So that number actually has to be into the $10,000 to $15,000.
You're gonna look at how many roads they have and say,
Exactly.
well, maybe a third or half are gonna need some upgrades.
Because all we're
And
doing
that's
is
a lot
buying.
of money.
Right,
Is
I would,
installing a culvert on somebody's road, or I don't know how many
That's
feet of
a-
ditching that we just approved, but we're doing that type of a project for $3,000. If you keep it at $3,000, and the lake associations, I don't think even wants the headache just to do that little bit of work that like Lakeside Drive's doing. You know, they're just ditching and throwing some riprap in it.
I mean, I think for the lake associations, if we keep them to what we've been doing now with Article 43, they're gonna have to meet certain requirements, you know, prove that they bought the materials and used the materials for what they said. There might have to be some tweaking on those, you know, guidelines or requirements, whatever you wanna call it. But then I think after we get that part figured out, it would be better, I think, as soon as possible to meet with the lake associations to see how they feel and how they see using the money? Would they say, well, we got a lot of roads that need that repair, or they say, we got some and that could help? Because if they have a lot of roads they want to repair, now that for sure is going to open us up to needing a bigger
But
budget.
here's the problem that, that I see, is the lake associations don't do the work, right?
Nope.
It's gotta be the road association that does it. So,
What's that
Wow.
trail look like?
Yeah, so
so,
Well, when Dave first presented this, it was my understanding, and maybe I misunderstood, that instead of the town and us sort of overseeing the money to the road associations,
Just hands it over.
that it would be given to the lake associations, who would then hand it to the road associations would apply to the lake association.
right,
But by doing that, it gets around this necessity for an organized road association. That some of the other roads would qualify.
you're going to lose
They
some
don't
control of
have.
where that money's going and how it's used.
But we need to be talking about who
When-
we're addressing on
Yeah.
this application.
yeah, with that scenario, I wouldn't see how the, road, if they didn't have everybody in the association, how are they gonna come up with the money to even
I mean, you
do
might
the
find
work, right? Yeah,
private roads are at odds with the lake associations already because of runoff issues or what have you.
I
That
don't know that.
maybe maybe the lake association is not going to want to deal directly with the road association. They're going to prefer that we do that. So then that kind of defeats the purpose of giving it. But if you give money to the lake associations, give them, say, amounts based on the number of roads or the number of residents, what's the guarantee that that lake association is going to take the initiative and give it out where it's needed to improve the lake versus another one that uses the money and says, hey, we need more, but they don't have any more. So that's going to be a hard one. How are we going to distribute the funds?
Let's put some thought in that one.
Yeah, yeah. Let me just turn this off, we'll end the meeting and,
Okay. Well, did we end the meeting officially? I don't think we
We have a
did.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
all right.